Hey everyone, Emanuel here. Excited to continue doing this wonderful book. I took the cover off because I don't know if you guys really know me, I love kind of like just bare book. I don't really like book covers, so a little secret about me, I just don't like them. So I may be taking a few off from the ones that are on my library, but let's go to page 80 here. And what I want to do, I want to add to something I don't do in the videos too much, but I want to let's just take 10 seconds between you and me. We'll ask for some help from above in our mind. Just that like what I say to you may or may not resonate with you, but if we ask for help from above, it may resonate with you more. Or you might come up with ideas while you're listening to me or while you're reading the book beyond what we've even talked about. And you can be as much inspired and as much have great ideas in your mind, and I don't want to negate that. So let's just take 10 seconds. We'll just kind of ask for some help that this video really puts off what it needs to provide here. Okay, so let's see. Let's go get started. So we're on page 80, and on the top, it still talks about testing animals here, which is really, really interesting. Actually, no, we're not on page 80. My bad. We are on page 70. What was I thinking? Okay, so muscle testing. I think I might have told you guys that there is a podcast. I will leave it below if you guys want to learn how to muscle test. I did a video way back in the day when I first got started. But I gave you guys some cool muscle testing tips on my podcast, and I will put the link below. Whether you're on Heal or whether you're on YouTube, you'll be able to have access to that. And for those of you who are kind of curious right now, this week has everything to do with confidence. So the healing journey, the Solar Room for 7 days is going to be confidence, overcoming fear, and respecting your solar plexus chakra. And so just in case, if it's still not too late, if you want to join that, that's happening right now. 7 days of multi-layered healing. Again, I got certified back in January 2022 and had amazing success so far. I think we have over 100 plus testimonials of these 7 days of healing, and it doesn't affect your weekly healing. Perhaps you're already seeing another practitioner and you're getting your help. I respect that. Keep going to that practitioner. I'm here just to kind of add any value I can. If I work with you in the future, great. If not, you're working with someone else, fantastic. So I just want to give, and help you guys out there in the field, whether you're a practitioner or you're a client, and hopefully I add value to you. But just in case, I do have a 7 days healing going on right now with confidence, about maximizing your confidence. If you're someone who lacks confidence or questions your self-esteem or things like that, this will be very powerful, and it's all retroactive. So even if it's Wednesday, it still goes back to Sunday for you, and you get the healings during the nighttime while everyone else is resting. You're getting more healing in the nighttime while you sleep. So if you want to join that also, I will leave the link below. It's haveempathyandlove.com. Again, haveempathyandlove.com, and look for a group that's happening, or you can just message me once you join the Heal platform. Feel free to message me, say, hey, I'm in here, I want to join that confidence group. I'll help you out. Okay, let's go. So the story of a pendulum and a friend that I have, he was muscle testing. I think I might have told you, but just in case, he was muscle testing with his fingers, the ring and ring method. So that's this one here. This is the one that I use, yes, no, yes, no, right? So Emanuel, my name is Bob, right? So this is the one that I use. Plus he was using the pendulum as well. And I don't have a pendulum with me, but he used that to confirm it. So he says, so my name's Emanuel, yes. And then, it's going back and forth. If it's no, let's say it's left and right, but it could be either. It could be spinning left, it could be spinning right. So you kind of never know. You want to always ask that. What does my yes look like? Okay, there it is. What does my no look like? And just kind of, the pendulum can go anywhere. There's not really like, you'll buy a pendulum and this is the way it goes. So knowing that, he found out what his yes and no was, and he just kept confirming. Now, it sounds stupid to do that. Like, what if you're forcing the right and you're forcing the left? In my opinion, it doesn't even matter because your subconscious is going like, they're trying to use their intuition, because that's all this is. This is the schoolmaster for increasing your intuition. That's why I don't even use this anymore. I'm able to my eyes kind of just go to where it's supposed to go, and I just follow it, kind of like almost gets highlighted But that took me 7 years to do. Maybe you're an amazing guru person. It took you only 2 months to do that. But for me, I was using muscle testing for a very long time, at least 7 years. And then all of a sudden one day I was like, wait, do I even need to use this? Like, I'm like, it seems like my eyes are already going somewhere. And it's been working great. So that's kind of how I do it. But my friend kept doing that. And then after a while, here's the interesting part, is he stopped using pendulums and muscle testing in general, just like me. But he kept doing it back and forth. And he would do like testing on 20 positive things or 20 positive, negative things to muscle test it. Is this true? Do I live here? This is my address. This is how old I am. And he would just check yes on this, and then he would check the pendulum and just go back and forth. If you do that for 2 weeks, maybe like 100 times a day or maybe 100 times per meal, that's like 300 times. That's crazy. But I usually recommend people and I put a recommendation on the podcast, but just a certain amount of times, 100, 150, 200 times a day. That sounds like a lot, but not really if you just kind of, or even 30 times during a meal. You're just getting a yes and no from both sides. That's 60 muscle testing you're doing via pendulum and your fingers. Watch what happens in 2 weeks, Plus, I recommend here to do a session with intuition as well. Let's go to page 71. You have to get permission. Everything in the body code is permission. It's super crucial. I've had a lot of clients who tell me, my husband said it's okay, but I have to ask them. Unless I've known them for a really long time and I know they're super integritous with me, I may say, yeah, let's work on your husband. I believe you. But if it's like a new person, I've been with them for 3 or 4 months and I'm still trying to get to know them, it's a lot better to just basically, ask, permission and get an email, get a text that they give a thumbs up, right? Now, do you need their permission every time? And the answer is yes, but there are certain modalities that allow you to not use their permission. The only ones that I can think of right now, there's more, is Light Score. So, if you have the Easy Entity app, Easy Entity Release app, I use that and I can check someone's light scores 0 to 100%, or the light score between them and someone else. Those you don't have to ask permission because the spirit is always giving permission to say, get these offensive and dark energies off me. Now, on the emotional body, you have to always ask permission. That's why I kind of phrase it like this. I say the spirit body always says yes. The mental and physical body needs permission. The spirit body always says yes. The mental, physical body always need permission. Okay, so here are a couple of things that you can do that you can still work with. Let's say a husband who is closed-minded and you're working with the wife. Number one is remove inherited emotions from your son. Say, are there any inherited emotions from my son that go directly to that came from the husband line? And if it says yes, start releasing. Go into the emotion code chart and start finding out which ones they are. Left side, right side, just go in there and then remove it obviously 10 times. And you can connect with your son because he's 18 and under. Now, if he's over 18, remember, you still have to ask permission. But if they're under 18, hey, I always tell people, I'm like, how old is your son? And they say, oh, he's 16. Wow, you have 2 years to do some amazing clearing on this person. Without their permission, you are so lucky. Like, I would really take advantage that they could literally change your life if you were to do weekly sessions on them before they go off into out of the bird's nest, And so, but like I said, if you want to work on that husband, typically it's the husband for some reason is not open. We live in that generation right now. I'd recommend doing inherited emotions from a child, and then that's affecting the generational line from the father. Now, you can also have shared energies. Are there any shared energies between my son and his dad? If it says yes, remove those. You're clearing it from him mainly. It's a session for your son. This is the interesting part. If you think about it, the session's really for your son, but you're, as a byproduct with inherited and shared, you're affecting the father. Or it could go vice versa with the mother too. So I'll just say, are there any shared energies with your son and also the father? And if it says yes, start removing those. You'll see shared emotional energies or shared trapped emotions. In the body, could you also find shared emotional compounds? Those are 2 right there. Okay. And like I said, I already mentioned light score. So if I find a very stubborn husband, I'm excited to tell the wife something. Say, hey, let's remove some. You guys have a kid under 18? Wow, you are so lucky. Let's do inherited emotions, shared emotions from the kid and the dad. Oh, by the way, you're the wife, right? So shared emotions that you guys have together. you guys have some shared ones where you felt defensive and he felt defensive. And then also light score with him, light score with him and his son, light score with you and you, the client. There's a lot of stuff we could do. We could take up a whole session on just helping him out, and he never gave us permission. So that's what I've seen a lot of changes and shifts with that. So there's that. Also on page 71, it talks about sort of like resistance versus pressure, right? And what's interesting is you might have a couple reasons why you are not testable. It could be a neck misalignment, which I've seen before. All you need to really do is just go ahead and just rub the back of someone, the governing meridian, just say, I'm realigning all your neck bones, just realign them, with the intention. Obviously you didn't go through the imbalances. You didn't release all the things below it, but it's sufficient enough that you could just do it and realign it. It's almost like you got a chiropractic adjustment that will probably come back the next month of another neck misalignment. But if you want to go like long-term, you can say, are the neck bones misaligned, and just actually do a body code session, do that. But I've never seen Brad do that on stage. As soon as he's not testable, he'll check, is it because you're dehydrated or no? Okay, so then is it neck misalignment? Oh, there we go. Or maybe it's like neck misalignment. No. Okay, so is it because you're thirsty, And they'll drink a tall glass of water and they'll muscle test again. Now they're testing positive. And everything's working out with their name, the baseline test, which is their name and then not their name. So, okay, that's my little tip there on page 71. On page 72, let's see. Okay, yeah, so there's a couple things you could do to enhance, and this is where I wanted to really go into it, your intuition, which is really what this is. Just you're working on your intuition. Number one, there's a thing called aspects of consciousness. Okay, what is that? So we all have a subconscious, and there's like armies. I picture like armies. Like there's a permanent one, there's an impermanent one. Okay, and I work on this with people. It's a separate chart outside of the regular emotion code, body code chart. But there's multiple charts. I have like 12 or 13 different charts that I have. And I collected them from different people and things like that. And what's interesting is there is an aspect of consciousness, which means there's a section of your subconscious that has a name of it, and there's certain traumas. Now there's the permanent one. These are the good ones. I am consciousness, angel consciousness. There's just different good ones. And we just leave them there. We strengthen them, and then we kind of leave them there. Now there's impermanent ones. These are negative ones that we want to get rid of, okay? Now, there's a negative one. There's one called muscle testing consciousness. That's a negative one. Like you have trauma behind trying to muscle test. Or there's intuition consciousness. You could have trying to acquire intuition, and the struggle to get there can cause trauma. So every time you're trying to use your intuition, guess who's coming up? This version of you, this traumatized version, intuition consciousness shows up. And we have to get them to level 10. So I asked what level the intuition consciousness is, and let's say it's like level 4. So then I go back to the body code, release certain energies, get it to level 10. Now it's satisfied. Then I go, okay, now we're gonna get rid of it, and I remove it. So that's something that I do as well. Also inner child work. If you're not familiar with inner child work, I've had over 36 to 40 inner child work. I try to keep the lady private who did it for me, but she was in the higher ups. Like she's been with Discovery Healing for a very, very long time. And she gave me kind of tactics on how to really approach the inner child. And I've used it. And I've seen huge changes in people when they feel stuck. Like their body code sessions for some reason are not working. But here's kind of a cool little byproduct of what happens if you work on that little one inside of you, is that your intuition as a byproduct automatically goes up. So it's kind of cool. Need intuition boost? Work on your inner child. Do I recommend you working on your own inner child? Nope. Recommend someone else to do it. I don't care if it's me or someone else, but have them work on it. Now, if you ask your practitioner, they say, I've never done inner child work before, then be careful, because what will happen is you have to approach them in a certain way. You have to say certain things to the child to make them feel comfortable. You have to ask if it's safe to even connect with the inner child. Sometimes your adult self stands in front of the little one, goes, nope, you're not passing through. And that's called resistance. So there's a procedure I have to go through to kind of tap into the inner child, but it can never be myself. Technically, I've never worked on my inner child before because my inner child doesn't respect me. I've left it back there, you know? And so, but yeah, those are kind of a couple things you could do. These muscle test consciousness, check your level. I'm at level, you don't have to even have the chart. Level what? 3? Okay, let's get to level 10. And then we're just gonna ask that muscle test consciousness to go away. And we're gonna kind of fold up the timeline and clear it from our bodies and any trauma that's been with it to kind of like completely disconnect with that consciousness. And then test yourself. Do I have that muscle testing consciousness anymore? And it says no. Cool, you've done it. Congratulations. Now whenever you try to muscle test, this version of you doesn't show up. Okay, let's go to the next thing, page 75. Just real simple, when it comes to muscle testing, you want to make sure that you want to remind yourself that anything can cause anything. So just know that whenever you do any type of muscle testing, the first thing you want to do is you want to just say anything can cause anything, and have no idea what's causing this specific symptom, okay? And that's something that I still do to this day. Whenever I hear kind of somebody who's really got complicated stuff, my mind wants to go to like, oh, that's probably a thyroid. That's, it's like my conscious brain wants to figure this person out. Don't do that. It doesn't really help you out. It doesn't serve you, because now you're not allowing the subconscious to assist you as much as you could, because you're forming your own biasness by past experiences. So you just want to just say, yeah, I have no idea. Just get used to doing this. Like, yeah, I use this a lot. Kind of like, yeah, I have no idea. Let's see what your subconscious says. And if you're my client, you probably have heard me say that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I know where that's coming from, but let's ask your subconscious. And when you do that, you're already prepping your brain to be like, anything can cause anything. And then just go in there and see what you find. And you'll get better results, way better results, by not knowing where you're going, okay? Now, another thing too, on page 76 is a really interesting story about muscle testing children. Like, are you gonna have a boy or a girl? He said it was like he was 96% correct. And I've actually talked to him, and he told me about how it's even better than the machines they have to see which sex they are. I don't typically do that. Obviously, he did it for free. You don't want to charge somebody to do that. But I have the same story. I muscle tested that we were having a girl, and guess what it was? It was a boy. Now, I personally believe that there might be a female in the future. Like maybe we adopt someone, blah, blah, blah. And maybe I was muscle testing a future person coming in our family, very likely. Maybe we'll watch this video one day and be like, I predicted you that you'd show up. Or maybe my wife has a daughter in the future. I have no idea. But I still feel like there's that one there. But my body was really wanting a female, so it was biased. Again, anything can cause anything. Okay, so now let's go to page 79. This is very key. Sometimes you might have children who you're like, I was a great parent to them, No matter how great you were as a parent to your child, they still have inherited energies, and you have no control over that. So just know that, your parenting might have been amazing, but now that, let's say you learn the topic of like the 5 love languages. You might have been perfect at loving them in one of the languages, but maybe that wasn't their language. Maybe yours was touch. You like gave them lots of hugs and I love you, whatever. And they're like, I want gifts. That was maybe theirs, to receive gifts. Or maybe you gave them a lot of love, a lot of touch, but then maybe their love language was time. And you didn't really feed them because you were always at work, you see? So you kind of never know. Honestly, unless we speak to our little ones and find out how they're feeling and how they feel about us, we honestly don't know if we're good parents or not. I mean, we could say we are, but I always try to question myself, be like, okay, so I was at home. If I didn't get a lot of physical abuse, could their absentness be a form of abuse? The answer is yes. Or if they were strict with me, which means I became a good person to have at a party because I wasn't too loud and boisterous and crazy and rambunctious. That's, oh, you must have been raised by good parents. Or I was raised by the belt, or the sandal, the sandal or the belt. And that is a form of trauma. So you kind of never know. It's like, it's interesting. Whenever the times where you kind of can get into, if you really want to get into like what your past really means and how you really filtered it, is I recommend hypnosis. So if you've ever done hypnosis before, you'll be surprised what you say, because then you're kind of entering into the child's mind and how you really felt about something. I didn't know how traumatic, for example, my military school, my parents sending me there would be so traumatic to me until I went through a form of hypnosis, and they were working on different plexes, and I was bringing it up a lot. And I was like, I guess it really did bother me. And I just kind of hide it or suppress it. So everyone's childhood has usually something. The last thing I want to share with you is surrogate testing animals, and it talks about how, animals can't talk, but they can definitely feel or whatever. But the animals can talk. I always kind of find it funny that if you go to the Genesis chapters in the Bible, there's a talking snake there, and no one bats an eye that the snake is talking. When was the last time you saw a snake talk? But it seems like animals all communicate. And in a higher realm, not where we're at, which is we're in the sort of, how do I say this? Terrestrial realm, where we are right now. We're not in the celestial realm. But it seems like in the celestial realm that animals used to talk, and it was normal, I even have my theories that Adam, as the first geologist, probably got recommendations from the animals of what they wanted to be called, But as the earth fell after the fall of Adam and Eve, animals lost that power. But there were moments still in the Bible. In the Old Testament, there's a donkey that was getting kind of kicked by someone. I'm trying to remember what story it was. But he turned around and said, "Hey, stop kicking me." I was like, whoa, what? And then boom, an angel was there with a drawn sword. Again, that's one thing. Also, in the book of Revelations, it talks about 4 celestial beasts that are praising God. And they're all basically singing hallelujah and all these beautiful hymns to the Almighty God. No one's batting an eye that wasn't symbolism. I really feel like that was real, that these animals, these 4 beasts that were super loyal in their existence to God, they're praising God for their celestial bodies, and so animals do talk, and we have to be very careful with how we a lot of animals do absorb. I saw a couple that were going through a divorce, or actually they were going through an engagement, but they fought a lot and their dogs were not doing well. Why? The dogs are absorbing, sadness, anger, regret, all these different energies, and then they're just moping around now. They weren't the same. When I first saw them, because I used to do some live sessions, they were pretty peppy. Then they later on told me 6 months later they were not doing very well. Sometimes they get tumors, they get sick, they're absorbing too much. So you have to be very careful around your pets. That if you do get into a tough discussion or whatever, go outside. Don't do it around your pets. Your pets are absorbing things, and they're almost like your brother, right, or your sister. So with that, hopefully you enjoyed all these different stories here, any type of feedback here. It talks about also working with people in a coma. I had when I was married to my ex, I'm trying to remember what he was. He was like a friend of the family. He fell in a mall, and it was really sad. They took him to the emergency room, and all his organs and glands were failing. It was very tragic. He was kind of young. Pretty sure he was 38, 39. And anyway, he was just collapsed, turned green, kind of a greenish color, and they took him to the hospital, and all his organs and glands were failing. And I could have worked on him. I asked permission from his mom to work on him, and the mom was calling what I do witchcraft and all these things. And it's just sad. I'm not saying I would have saved him, but I definitely wanted to help him out. And I created 3 heart walls during that day. And I muscle tested. I'm like, did I create heart walls? Because my heart feels heavy. I felt heavy throughout the whole day, and I felt heavy another time, felt heavy another time. And it was because I was just kind of grieving the fact that I couldn't help them out. These Christians were calling me all these horrible things, and I'm Christian myself too. But and later on, I found out that those parents actually stole from him, went to his house and started stealing things. I'm like, so you guys are the Christians, right? And anyway, the main point is that I'm just grateful that I get to be a part of this process to help people. Have a heart where you're always looking to help anybody in need. I was working on a homeless person 2 months ago. I don't usually share this story, but I was just walking out of a Quickie Mart, and she was just saying, "Oh, I have a lot of pain in my lower back," And I don't know what my wife was doing. I don't know if she went to go get gas somewhere. I just took some time to just go work on it. But here, do you mind if I work on you real quick? Hey, get this book somewhere, And I did that, and I cared about this person. I don't care if there's an Uber driver I work on them. Hey, how long do we have to drive there? 20 minutes? Let me do a session on you real quick. I don't know. I'm always like looking for someone who needs help. Trust me, everyone is suffering in one way or another. Anyway, comment below which one was your favorite thing that you learned from here. Feel free to comment below what were your insights on pages 70 to 80. I look forward to hearing your feedback as well. And again, if you want to be part of that confidence healing these 7 days, I'll leave the link down below. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.